GPD Win Mini might be the most powerful netbook we've ever used. It may be built with gamers in mind, but this handheld has a lot more than a clamshell design working for it. We'll go over why the Win Mini is the perfect gaming netbook, how well it performs in gaming, and why it's worth the wait to get one at the right price. At first glance, the Win Mini looks exactly like a netbook from the late 2000s. You know what I'm talking about, those like $200 mini little laptops that took only the worst storage imaginable, really sucked, were incredibly slow, but got rebranded into Chromebooks at some point and run a little bit better on Chrome OS. Anyways, the only physical difference between this and those devices are the gamepad inside and the triggers and bumpers on the outside. It all comes in a matte black finish, the only available color. The finish seems to have some form of fingerprint resistant coating on the outside, though you'll still see smudges. GPD must not have applied the coating inside the shell, as the gamepad can get considerably shiny from hand grease. There may be an issue with the shininess on the ABS plastic in the future, but we'll have to wait and see if that's the case. The Win Mini looks even more unique once you screw in the controller grips. These grips are an optional add-on to the Win Mini, but we highly suggest getting them if you plan on doing any handheld gaming. Holding the system without the grips feels okay, if just a little uncomfortable from the corners digging into the palms. But with the grips on, we were pleasantly surprised by the ergonomics. The deep wells underneath the triggers make a natural spot to rest your fingers. It also helps to place your hands in the right spot to reach the gamepad buttons and the mouse pad. The gamepad comes with Hall effect sticks, so you shouldn't have to worry about stick drift, but the triggers are analog, so they should still be good in FPS and racing games. The buttons are on the smaller side, but that's expected with the compact size of the Win Mini. They're not mushy and feel nice to click, but I do wish that they were a bit bigger like the rest of the system. But between the gamepad is the mouse pad. It's not a touchpad like a Steam Deck or Legion Go, but a 4-finger capable mouse pad. We'd love to have a mouse pad that combines with the tactile feeling of a touchpad and the versatility of a mouse pad, but it works well for navigating Windows. With the mouse pad, you're getting a laptop-like experience of Windows, which is helped by how nice the 7-inch LCD screen is. The screen is comparable to an ROG Ally, with a max resolution of 1080p and a refresh rate of 120 Hz. It won't look as nice in motion due to the lack of VRR, and colors aren't as saturated when you compare it to the Steam Deck OLEDs or the Lenovo Legion Go. It is more energy efficient than most LCD screens, but we'll cover that later when we get to battery life. The one downside to the screen, other than the no VRR, is that it's heavy enough to tilt the Win Mini over when it's open beyond 90 degrees. The I/O ports are in the back right above the heat vents. You get an SD card, 2 USB-C ports, one capable of power delivery, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. You also get an Oculink port, which allows you to connect an external GPU with a bandwidth of up to 63 gigabits per second. It's the perfect solution for power users who want to make the Win Mini their main computer. But speaking of powering, if you want to power your GPD Win Mini, you should check out today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Ugreen and their Pro Series GaN Infinity fast chargers. Ugreen's been on a mission to make charging faster, safer, more efficient, and better for the environment. And now they have their Ugreen Nexo Pro 100-watt and Ugreen Nexo Pro 65-watt mini multi-port chargers to show for it. Charging devices with Ugreen's GaN Infinity chips saves an average of 5,503 tons of CO2 yearly, according to a Navitas Semiconductor official calculation. That amount of CO2 reduction is equivalent to planting around 220,755 trees. And on top of being more eco-friendly, Ugreen has made their Nexode Pro series with safety in mind. Using millisecond temperature detection, Ugreen's built-in thermal guard system monitors temperature changes in real time, allowing for intelligent distribution of appropriate current to your devices while protecting from overheating and overcharging. The charger itself is constructed from a flame-resistant, high-grade PVC material, providing added protection from bumps and drops. Both the Ugreen Nexo Pro 100-watt and the 65-watt mini fast chargers come equipped with 2 USB-C ports and 1 USB-A port, allowing simultaneous charging of up to 3 devices, such as smartphones, tablets, and laptops. Both fast chargers also boast the ability to charge a 13-inch MacBook Air from 0 to 70% in just 60 minutes. As a matter of fact, me and my team got these chargers just in time to take along on our CES trip. They have been great to keep our huge count of devices charged while also saving saving space in our bags and wall outlets. Additionally, the Nexode Pro Series chargers also have been reworked to be smaller than their non-Pro counterparts. By combining the latest in GaN Infinity chips and revolutionary AirPura tech, Ugreen delivers chargers that fit in the palm of your hand without compromising on performance. To start charging safer and more efficiently, check out the link in the description to pick up a Ugreen Nexode Pro Series fast charger for yourself. A big thank you to Ugreen for sponsoring today's video. And don't forget, the Nexode Pros have the 45-watt Samsung Super Fast Charging 2.0, so if you're thinking of picking up the new S24 Ultra, you should check out the Nexode Pros at the link in the video description. Again, big thanks to Ugreen for sponsoring today's video. But when you order a Win Mini, you can choose either a 7840U or a 7640U for the APU. Our unit has the AMD 7840U, which uses a 780M integrated GPU. That puts it on the same playing field as the Ally Extreme or the Legion Go, though it won't be as energy efficient as the Z1 Extreme chip in those handhelds. You can also add up to 64 gigabytes of LPDDR5 memory and up to 2 terabytes of storage. Gaming on the device didn't feel different from using a standard gamepad. Because of its compact size, it felt like I was holding something closer to an Xbox controller than a handheld PC. We'd say it's closer to a Steam Deck or Legion Go in terms of comfort, and you can probably hold this for hours without your hands cramping up. And if you want to just use it like a regular netbook, you can hit the game mode switch on the back to disable the gamepad at any time. I was disappointed you couldn't use a regular mouse with the gamepad like you can with the Legion Go, but it makes sense since it would be pretty awkward to hold. We're not sure how many of you prefer using headphones over the system speakers when playing on handhelds, but if you're in the latter camp, you won't be disappointed. The speakers can use DTS-X virtual surround sound, but the speakers aren't anything special besides getting very loud. And I mean very loud. It would be nice for a handheld to beat the ROG Ally regarding sound quality, but I don't think most people will care too much if they're using headphones instead. We found that the Win Mini's performance was comparable to the ROG Ally or the Legion Go. Games like Cyberpunk 2077 and Control ran at 40 to 50 FPS at the 30-watt TDP without much fluctuation. Scaling it down to the 15-watt TDP made these games run between 35 and 45, ideally what you want from a handheld PC on the current chipsets. Less demanding games were mostly in line with the Ally and Legion Go, with frame rates going above 60 in games like Hot Wheels Unleashed, even on high settings. However, we did notice two things when running the system at 30 watts. We noticed that the cooling fan is loud and blows a ton of heat out of the top vents. It's not enough to burn your fingers if you accidentally rest it on the vents, but it is uncomfortable. The second issue is that the fan isn't blowing enough heat out to prevent the Win Mini from actually physically getting hot. Heat builds up in just a few minutes, but it gets even worse when charging, and it is the worst while a game is running. It's so hot that I'm worried putting in an SD card would ruin it like the Ally's heat issues have in the past. Unfortunately, the Win Mini's issues don't end with heat, as its battery life isn't great. Windows, plus a chip that's not tuned for gaming, results in less than stellar battery life, it turns out. The LTPS screen might help since it's more efficient than standard LCDs, but you're only getting a little more than an hour when running at 30 watts. Dropping it to a 15-watt TDP helped preserve the battery life for up to 3 hours, but nothing really more than that. It does have 65-watt fast charging, which helps, but I think we're all ready for Steam Deck OLED levels of battery life in Windows handhelds at this point. GPD could get away with a bigger battery if they made the system a bit bigger, which also would have solved the issue of the keys being just too small to be practical. Maybe it's just my hands, but trying to use the QWERTY keyboard like I usually would is impossible. That makes using a mouse with the onboard keyboard difficult when the WASD buttons all fit underneath my thumb. The same applies on the mousepad. The mousepad can be used with up to 4 finger gestures, making it waifu ready, but I can barely fit 3 of my fingers on here. It's not really an issue since the only 4 finger gestures I can think of is changing the desktop, but I still wanted to bring this up. I mean, we're still good as long as I can use the 2 fingers to scroll on web pages. But the GPD Win Mini size and shape are perfect as a regular netbook, but as a gaming netbook, it's just slightly too small to be the best of both worlds. It's also way more expensive than any other handhelds you can buy right now. The unit we reviewed cost $1,080, and a unit with the same specs would cost $1,051 without the grips. The lowest price Win Mini you can get is one with a 7640U, 16 gigs of RAM, a 512 gigs of storage, and no grips to attach at $751. That's $50 more than a Legion Go and a full price ROG Ally, each with a better performing APU. However, you're also getting arguably one of the best Windows experiences right now, since this is basically a laptop. But if you're willing to shell out the cash, this is the best gaming netbook available.